Are symphony orchestras in trouble, and is the trend towards getting younger conductors as opposed to the James Levine's an attempt to get younger people there? When you go to symphony, the average age is an older group of people.
Well, that's a very common question, and it's one that I don't have the answer to, but I will try to answer to it, having it. I don't see a problem with the older audience because the baby boomers are just now hitting 66. So you have about 20 years now of people between 65 and 85 coming to symphony, which you can rely upon. So for the short term, that's always my argument about that. But classical music, it's not about, if you're trying to compete with Beyonce or Justin Bieber in terms of sex appeal for teenagers, I think that's a lost battle at the beginning. You have a completely different product. I will define this for you. I rarely do this. I had to go to a jail once and do a concert for a bunch of convicts. And there was a committee of convicted murderers, and I had to explain to them why they should have a string quartet come into the jail. A very unusual situation, marketing situation. Here's the thing. It's not about the personality of the conductor. There's nothing wrong with pop music except that it's become so bland and so much about I love my boyfriend or my girlfriend, or I've lost my boyfriend or my girlfriend, and that's all we talk about and sing about anymore. It's just these very fundamental elements of procreation, which is you make a lot of money doing that. I have no issue with it. But when you listen to Ein Heldenleben, when you listen to a Mozart symphony, you are listening, perceiving, someone is articulating a very higher level of emotional specificity, of emotional literacy, I sometimes call it. It's emotional literacy, which if all you're doing is saying, oh baby, maybe, I love you baby, someday baby, now you've only got 20 words with which to communicate your emotional state. What these paintings did before Freud took all of our market share away was try to define the subconscious mind, the human experience, the emotional energies, this specific emotional energy. And when you get to be 65, oh baby, I saw her standing there, she loves you, yeah. I mean, this is kind of old hat. We'd like something a little more specific than that. This is what these pieces do, is they define ourselves in this complexity. And we're losing track of this because nobody really wants us to be complicated. They want us to be very generic in our emotional literacy because there's no money in people being very individualistic like that. So you've touched on something that I'm so glad I had this opportunity because normally I don't touch on that. But when you talk about arts education, again, it's about who we are. And there's all this very complicated emotional energies that exist within us, which music and rhythm can in fact express. And that's the job. This is why Serge Koussevitzky, who was, 60, 70 years old, I have 78s of him I still listen to because it's just breathtaking to listen to Afternoon of a Faun with Serge Koussevitzky and the Boston Symphony. It just takes your breath away. But if you have marketing people who read a book and are just thinking, well, the audience is there because they like the good-looking young conductor, you've completely missed the point. You've completely missed the point. But I hate to say that in public because there's an awful lot of people who disagree with me. So anyway, thank you for a wonderful question.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.